and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. Greatly appreciate it. Friday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. And tonight's topic is what I was going to talk about last night. Good evening, Kevron. Glad to have you here as always and every day. Kevron, as you know, is a good day to be a Clemson Tiger fan. But I apologize for last night. I guess I'm a old fat man, and I lay down about 9:15 and I fell asleep. And as you can tell by the sound of my voice, I sound like Steve Urkel. So this should be a good video tonight. But since I fell asleep last night, we'll talk about last night's topic tonight. And what a surprise, like it says in the title of the video. And I say that because ESPN wants a monopoly. What a surprise. ESPN started all this from the get-go, and now that everybody else has jumped on board with them, they're trying to jump off the boat and act like they were never in on this. You know, I've said for about 5 years that expanding the playoffs was a terrible idea. It was awful. I prefer to go back to the BCS system, but they expanded to 4, and of course that wasn't enough. You know, now we've gone to 12, and of course that's not enough. And it's all because ESPN tried to get money hungry and start a playoff because they know they were going to carry the playoffs. And the more playoff games that are on ESPN, the more money they make. So, of course, ESPN for the better part of 5 years has talked about making the playoffs bigger. And I've said bad idea, dumb idea, because if you're in the Big Ten or the SEC, if you're one of the big time teams in those two conferences, if you go 9-3, you're in the playoffs every year. So if it comes the middle of November and you're undefeated, you could bench your starters the last 3 games and lose all 3 games, and it wouldn't matter. You're in the playoffs. So in turn, you're watering down the regular season. And I've said that constantly over and over again. Well, now we have the ACC and the Big 12 and the Big 10 wanting to go to 24 teams, and shockingly, ESPN is saying, oh, we don't want to go past 14, but we'll accept 16, no more than 16. And the reason why they're saying that is because ESPN wants a monopoly. They want it where it is because if it stays where it is, ESPN pretty much carries every single playoff game. Now, there was, I think, 2 this past year that they let TNT carry because NFL game was on then, and they knew they weren't going to compete. So that way, ESPN's numbers didn't look bad against the NFL. TNT's numbers looked bad. But outside of that, ESPN carries all the playoff games. But if you go to 24 teams, there's no way ESPN can carry them all. So CBS might jump on board. Fox might jump on board. NBC or Peacock might jump aboard. And then all of a sudden, if you've got one playoff game on the ESPN family of networks and then one playoff game on Fox or CBS, whatever it is, there's competition. And ESPN might get beat in the ratings depending on what game's on ESPN and what game is on Fox. So ESPN doesn't want to expand because they want to carry every playoff game so there's no competition. That way they ain't got to share the money. They get all the money. But if ESPN would have never suggested the playoffs expanded, we wouldn't be here in the first place. Hey there, Chesley. Glad to have you here. As always, thanks for checking in here on this Friday evening. But Earlier today, I was listening to the radio and I heard a little clip from Paul Feinbaum talking about how he agreed with the SEC that it shouldn't expand. And I thought, what a shock. What a surprise. Paul Feinbaum is going to agree with rising as the sun coming up. Paul Feinbaum is always going to agree with the SEC. That's where his money is. That's his money maker. Of course, he's going to agree with them. And now he's saying that the playoff expansion is watering down the playoffs. Well, the playoff expansion watered down the regular season when you went past 4 teams. So you've already watered down the regular season. So it doesn't matter now if you expand. Paul Feinbaum doesn't want to expand because ESPN doesn't want to expand. But I've also said the playoffs should never expand because to me, for you to have that many playoff teams, you should have that many elite teams. There's never that many elite teams. You look at this past year, only a 12-team playoff, and there was, 2 good playoff games. Every single first-round playoff game was an absolute blowout. Why? Because there's not 12 teams. The reason why the playoff should have never expanded. If you struggle to find 4 elite teams and you struggle to find 4 teams that have a legit shot to win a national championship, why are you dumb enough to believe you're going to have 12 teams that can win the national championship? You're staying the night at your Mimi's. It's funny you say Mimi, Chesley, because my wife has taught our kids to call her mama Mimi. So in my neck of the woods, in my world, we have a Mimi, which is my wife's mother. Now, my mother has been dead for 13 years, but my grandmother, my mama's mother, is still alive, and she has everybody call her Nanny. She don't care if it's a great grandbaby, a niece, a nephew, who you are. She tells everybody to call her Nanny. So we have a Nanny on my mama's side, my mother's mother, and we have a baby on my wife's side, my wife's mother. So it's funny you say Mimi because we have one of those in my neck of the woods, in my world as well. But maybe in the next couple of weeks we'll find out exactly, when the playoffs going to expand and how many teams it's going to expand to. It shouldn't go to 24, but since ESPN hopes it doesn't, I hope it does just because I despise ESPN. But really, it should never go past 4 because there's not 8 or 12 elite teams. Why put a team in the playoffs just to say they're in the playoffs when you know good and well first time they play, they're going to get beat? Makes 0 sense to me. Your great-grandmother's called Nanny. Yes, she's my grandmother because she's my mama's mother. She wants everybody to call her Nanny. Everybody. And she's done that since I was about 2. Everybody calls her Nanny. She said, don't call me grandma, don't call me granny, call me Nanny. So everybody calls her Nanny. And I heard a clip earlier today of somebody else for ESPN, and I thought, and people want to know why I say don't watch ESPN if a game's not on. I've said for years, if you want to watch a game on ESPN, watch a game, whatever sport it is, but don't watch any of their talking head shows. And if you do, know that it's for entertainment reasons and don't take anything they say serious. I had it on Sports Talk, and they played a clip from Dominique Foxworth. I'm assuming last night because the NFL schedules came out last night. But Dominique Foxworth was talking to the Chicago Bears, and he said, well, the Bears team in 2026, they probably won't win their division, and they'll have less games than last year, but they'll be a better team. Wait a minute. If you don't win your division and you win less games, how are you a better team? And at first I scratched my head and I thought, wait a minute. That's an ESPN guy. Of course it's stupid. He works for ESPN. Why am I expecting anything different? But I was looking over the college football week 1 schedule, and of course I have forgotten everything that I saw because it's still 4.5 months away. But I thought college football needs to do more on that Sunday. NFL starts a week after college football. So the opening week, college football is on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And it's the only real week that football fans will watch college football because NFL blows college football out of the water ratings wise. It has every year. That's not going to change. If you believe it will, you're out of your mind. Once the NFL starts, there's no competition. The best college football game on won't garner half the ratings of the worst NFL game on. Just won't. That's a documented fact. You can't dispute that. It's inarguable. So the only real week that college football gets to dominate the TV is the opening week. And to me, that Sunday, they should do what the NFL does. If you don't want to start at 1 o'clock like the NFL does, start at noon. Have a game at noon, a game at 3:30, and a game at 7:30, just like on Saturdays. Now, they've got a couple of games on Sunday, but they're not worth watching. The only one worth watching is the 7:30 primetime game, and that's Louisville and somebody. But outside of that, the other Sunday games are garbage. That's the only Sunday you have that the NFL is not on, and anybody that likes football is going to watch college football. So if an NFL fan is going to turn on college football on a Sunday, you need to give them something to make them want to watch. And every year, the college football Sunday slate, there's a couple of games on Sunday afternoon, but they suck. And then the game that night is the good one. Plus, most folks are off the next day because it's Labor Day. So if you have a game at 9 or 9:30 that don't end until 12:30 Eastern time Monday morning, it's okay because most people are off on Monday. But do something on that Sunday, especially considering you're not going to have many more years like this because the NFL is fixing to expand to an 18-game season. When they expand to an 18-game season a week earlier, which means where the college football season starts now, first weekend of September will be when the NFL season starts. So college football is probably going to back up about 2 weeks, and college football will starting probably about the same weekend high school football starts. Bye, Chesley. Hope you get a good night's sleep and come back and be with us some other time. And as always, thank you for checking in here on the channel. I always greatly appreciate when you call Benton. I know you're watching. But college football is probably going to starting about the time high school football starts. That way, you can still get a week or two in before the NFL season starts, because otherwise, there's not going to be any time to showcase you have in college, because once the NFL comes on, nobody watches college football. So whenever the NFL season expands to 18 games, probably in the next 3 to 4 years, college football is going to start their season probably around mid-August. What they call week 0 now in college football will probably start being about week 2, and the season will start the week before that. So about the time high school football starts, college will be starting. That way you still get a couple of weeks to showcase all of your best teams and all your best talent before the NFL season starts. I mean, you're going to have the college football diehards that, watch college football, and that's not going to change. But you look at TV ratings, and college football will have 4 or 5 billion viewers, and the NFL gets 12 billion viewers. So if you're college football, you can't start your season the same week because nobody will watch, especially here. It's starting games on a Wednesday night. So the NFL's first week, they're probably going to have games on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just like college football does. So in the next 3 to 4 years, you're going to be seeing college football start their season about mid-August. So while you still have this first weekend in September before the NFL season starts, give the fans something on that Sunday. Don't pile in all the good games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and save one good game for the Labor Day Monday night, and then on Sunday give us absolute hot garbage, because that ruins the whole weekend. Spread the games out, give us something on that Sunday besides that one good game Sunday night. But any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me get our dad joke of the day in here. When meteorologists get mad, do they storm out? And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.